Hi, welcome to this tutorial on how to add a model to your Voyager project. Aside from that, I will also cover how to add multiple models to Voyager and how to adjust the settings of your model within Voyager. For the purposes of this tutorial, I will be working with the Voyager Story standalone version. If you're working with a different configuration of Voyager Story, you can skip ahead to the next part. At the moment, Voyager only accepts GLB files or GLTF files. I have one prepared for you. Adding the model to Voyager is as simple as dragging and dropping. So now I drag it from my Explorer into the Explorer window, and I make sure that the blue border shows up, and then I drop it. When you add the model, you can choose the derivative quality of the model. In general, the most used options are thumbnail and high, as high is the most common quality for desktops, and it's good to add a thumbnail or a version of your model with a really low data density, so visitors will see at least something as opposed to looking at a loading wheel while the actual model is loading in the background. So here, this is a high quality model. So I'll select high, and I'll change the name to something related to the model, which is a Pikachu model, and then I'll just have to select import model. Adding the thumbnail version is as easy as dragging the thumbnail version into Voyager, selecting thumb, but then instead of making a new model, you make sure that you selected the previous model, Pikachu, and import it on top of it. Here you can see that it's still just one model, but if you go to derivatives, you will see that it has two models in that sense, two items. Adding two models to your project is just as easy. For this, I have two other models prepared. One is a doll, which I'll add by dragging and dropping, setting it to high and calling it doll. And the other one is a map of Mexico related to the doll. This one is medium quality. And now instead of dropping that model on top of the doll, I will have to make a new model, call it map, and import it. You can immediately see that they're now in the same space, but they're two separate objects. To turn on or off this second object or the first object or any object in general, you go to Settings, make sure you have the relevant object selected, and turn on Object Visibility or turn it off. That way you can choose when to show it or when to hide it. The same can be done for the doll. After adding the model might not be turned the way you want to. To fix this, we go to the first option in the taskbar, Pose. The view in the Explorer changed to the grid view. Clicking on the model will reveal the adjustable settings in Task. The first button we need to use is Zoom Extents, which will take the model in all four of these views and center it in our own view, as well as adjust the grid to it. Use Select to select a specific model you want to adjust, in case of multiple models being present. Rotate will allow you to turn the model in these three windows. We can adjust them however we want to. Move is used to shift the model around the grid to align it however you want as well. Forwards, backwards to make sure that it's centered on the grid. Center will shift the model back into the middle, keeping the rotation but undoing the moving. We don't want that. So we click on Zoom Extents so that the grid and everything adjusts to the rotated and moved object. So this will become the new normal. Below these buttons, you will see global units and item units. Depending on how Voyager reads your imported file, you might want to change these settings. It's important to do this at the start of your project, as changing these later might ruin all the annotations and tour setting. So in this case, we need to change the global units to centimeters. And now you see that the model is teeny tiny. It says here that it's 1.46 by 1.87 by 1.12 centimeters. In reality, it's much larger. So what we need to do is go to the model settings and scale it up. In this case, the fix is an easy one, as we only need to size it up by a factor of 10. Then we go back to pose, center the model, zoom extents, and then it's fixed. Then you'll see it's about 14 centimeters by 18 by 11. To lock this new view, we need to go to Capture, adjust the model how we want it to show when loading up this edition, and capture it. And this is what Voyager will show when booting up the edition. In other words, what you capture here is how the scene will appear when you open the edition. That's all, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.